ready. How's it going? At this time, I'll call to order the City of Joliet Council meeting for June 15, 2021. The Honorable Mayor Robert Odekirk presiding, and we will open with a prayer from Pastor Lonnie Posley of the New Canaan Christian Church at 225 East Clinton Street. And after the invocation, the pastor will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance as well. Thank you, Pastor.
Let us pray. Eternal God, our Father, we come before thee with a bowed head and an humble heart. We thank you, God, for our mayor and the city council men and women and those that are in leadership positions. God, we pray that everything that they say and do will be done in decent and in order. We thank you, God, you arise, our enemy will be scattered. We pray for the spirit of unity, God, that will take place in this place, God. Not just tonight, but God, in the tenure of those that lead. We pray for their families, God. We pray that you bless their families and keep their families, God. We know, God, that every time we ask you, this is the confidence that we have in you. That if we ask you anything according to your purpose, we know that we have a petition that we desire of you. Now, God, we pray that everything that we say and do, you get the glory out of it. For it is in Jesus' name we pray. And for his sake, that all God's people said together, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Pastor.
Just want to remind those that have been participating in our prayer visuals. Okay. All right. I just want to remind everyone that has participated in our prayer visuals. We want to tell you thank you for that. Last Saturday, we were at Route 59 in the parking lot of Kohl's at 7 a.m. in the morning. We thank you for those that participated. This Saturday at 7, we will be at the corner of Doris and 53 at 7 a.m. And we pray that you come and support. Anyone that's in leadership position can support that. Also, too, to give the prayer number again, that prayer number, if you want to participate on Tuesday mornings at 7, that number is 978-990-5281. And then the access code you put in is 831-9138. If you want to participate with us in prayer, by all means, we invite you to come in and join us. And we don't want to just pray that when trouble comes. The Bible says, and true, and I try to stay in my lane, that man should always pray and not faint. And so we're praying for leadership, their families, and we pray as we pray for you, that you pray for us. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Pastor.
We'll begin with roll call. Mayor Odekirk.
Here.
Councilman Clement.
Here.
Councilwoman Gavin, she did call to let us know she would not be able to attend. Councilman Guerrero.
Here.
Councilman Hug.
Here.
Councilman Morris.
Here.
Councilman Mudrin.
Here.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Here.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Here.
First on the agenda this evening is a proclamation recognizing the Joliet Fire Department and volunteers for their COVID vaccine response.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, I'd like to start with a little video that was put together by Matt Fleck. It's a short video, 3 minutes, but it's to give everybody an overview of what happened out of Joliet West with the vaccines and COVID-19.
Starting tomorrow evening, Saturday, March 21st at 5 p.m. until the end of April 7th, all our residents will be subject to a stay-at-home order. It's easy if you try.
So I asked Matt to put that together so people that were at home were unable to get to Joliet West, they heard about us. I wanted to give them a little insight of what actually took place. So now I'm going to read the proclamation, and I would like Chief Blasky and Deputy Chief Jeff Carey to come on up here, and all the other firefighters and volunteers that were here. I know this is even half of them, but a lot of the folks are here tonight, and I want to recognize all of them. Come on in. Are we all together? Get in here in the light. Go to the light. It's okay today. Okay, proclamation. Whereas to date, COVID has affected over 77,000 people in Will County. Dr. Carla Guzman, Superintendent, Joliet Township High School, donated the Joliet West Field House as long as was needed to set up the vaccine clinic. On February 1st, 2021, the Joliet Fire Department opened up the first COVID vaccine site in Joliet known as the Joliet West Clinic. The clinic was opened under the direction of Deputy Chief Carey in collaboration with emergency room physician Dr. John P. Strokamp, Will County Health Department, and the support of Fire Chief Greg Blasky. Whereas the average daily operational cost to run a clinic is between $100,000 and $400,000, with one-time costs ranging from $150,000 upward to $1 million. To cover costs, many other sites charged a $46 administration fee per dose. Whereas because of the valiant efforts of the Joliet Fire Department and the numerous volunteers, the state saved an estimated $6 million, and additionally, the citizens personally saved $2,764,544. The Joliet West Clinic ran 61 days, and volunteers administered 60,099 vaccinations, starting February 1st and doing our last vaccinations on June 7th. The average daily vaccination rate was around 1,200 doses between the hours of 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., with several days exceeding over 1,600 vaccines a day within the same time frame. Whereas over 246 different volunteers donated over 13,580 hours of service to administer the COVID vaccines. The volunteers range from off-duty and retired paramedics from the Joliet Fire Department, numerous volunteer school nurses, retirees, spouses, and other volunteers. The Joliet Fire Department showed true leadership during the COVID pandemic and gave back to the community at no cost to taxpayers. Now, therefore, I, Robert Odekirk, Mayor of the City of Joliet, on behalf of the Joliet City Council, do hereby recognize the Joliet Fire Department and the volunteers for their hard work, dedication, and perseverance in their COVID vaccine response to the citizens of Joliet and Will County. It's signed, Robert Odekirk, June 15th, 2021. So I'd like to thank especially Michelle Ailing, who was volunteering during her illness. And I'm not going to say what the illness is, but we want to thank you very much for donating your time to make you feel better and make us feel better, because you were a great help drawing up the vaccine. So we appreciate that as well. Also, some people were there a couple hours, some were not. People that didn't have experience were there running the board. They were checking people out. They were admitting folks or doing the computer system so that we could have, not everyone had to be a medical personnel. I also like to thank the Chicago White Sox for when they found out about this. They honored the fire department and all the volunteers for that wonderful day at Sox Park. I'd like to thank them, except they lost that day. They won every game since until the other day, but that day they lost, but it was okay. We had a great time. But it just shows when people come together, great things can happen. So I have one more thing before we go. Not everybody will get this, but the volunteers that are here will understand what I'm going to do right now. So Chief Carey, could you just step forward? You are getting the golden box.
Oh, you gotta keep that.
Oh, I hated that. The joke of the box is, this box was February 1st, and it came in, we had 3 boxes, and it came in very handy for distributing the vaccines with the syringes in them. So little by little, the 2 boxes disappeared. So at the very end, we still had 1 box, even though they said save on them, people threw them out. So this one made it through the whole time. So I took it and had it gold-plated, spray paint, with the dates on it. So congratulations. I want to get a picture up here, guys, so let's go. Put it in. But we got to get a picture. Hold that. You can take that home. And then here's the proclamation. And let's go. Get a picture.
Are we standing together?
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody, fingerprints. Everybody, come on, everybody.
Except for Larry.
Where's Larry going? Here.
October 16th.
I don't know, I sent her a text, so they want to come up here? Here, let's move forward, you guys, because I think it's easier.
Thank you, everybody.
Brandon didn't get that. Next on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve the agenda as written. Councilman Clement,
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Next is citizens to be heard on agenda items. Is there anyone that would like to speak on an agenda item this evening?
Mayor, City Council. John Sheridan, President Cunningham Neighborhood Council, not association as referred to last night. I'm here to represent CNC in support of Mr. Garcia's request to continue use of the Broadway and Hutchinson to service vehicles with tires. The official CNC survey results and comment were attached to an email and sent to all of you. We had a total of 56 people that participated in the survey. 82% said they did not object to the business. The majority has spoken. We need to respect other people's opinion. The validity of the survey was brought into question by a person that lives in the CNC area. I try to make sure it is sent to the people in the CNC boundaries, not the ones that have come to our meeting for whatever reasons, but necessarily in the direct area. They are coded as friends of CNC with a separate mailing list. Why everybody gets notified? Great question. Some members may not live directly to the business, next to the business, but travel the same roads and businesses that affect them too. For example, the speaker last night said she lived at Elizabeth Street, but she has a public works department and a police department running a herd on the grocery store at Cora and Ruby. It's not on her block, but traffic affects that area. Another caller to the city council moved out of the area and lives off Midland Avenue, but has rental property on Hickory Street and other streets in the area. They were able to voice their concerns on how a business would impact their neighborhood. If we don't send out a survey, you don't have no voice because you don't live next to the tire place and proposed by the speaker last night. Can't have it both ways. You do not have to participate in our surveys. It's a choice as an individual. You can pick and choose. You can't pick and choose. All procedures need to be handled equally to everyone so nobody can say we discriminated. Second question was, why anonymous survey? To quote from an article, to collect true and honest feedback, it is often necessary to conduct surveys that are anonymous. Without a guarantee of anonymity, participants may have a doubt while answering, which often leads to dishonest responses and skewed data. Speaker last night and a few callers to the city council accepted numerous results from the past CNC surveys when the results were in their favor. It is interesting that the rezoning of a lot at B3 at Ingalls Avenue and Broadway, just north of the tire place, was okay to let all CNC vote by the survey, but not the tire place. Mr. Garcia's attorney talked about people in the immediate area did sign a petition of support for his business. Your board packet also contains photos showing semi-tractor cab can fit into the lot. The system for complaints may be slow sometimes, but the city will enforce the 17 conditions. An example, just 2 blocks north of the tire shop, there is an auto repair shop that consistently violates the terms, and the city did in fact make them adhere to their agreement to get in order to keep their special permit. So in summary, that corner has been a business for many years, pumping gas and later changing tires for years until the business was sold. Neighbors never complained about the air guns making noise or the amount of cars getting gas. As I said before, it's important that CNC treat each business the same regardless of ethnicity. I have to represent the whole CNC neighborhood, not just a few members. The majority of CNC membership has responded to the survey and asked that you give Mr. Garcia an opportunity to show he will be in fact a good neighbor. Thank you, Councilman Clement, for asking your colleagues last night for support on this request. Much appreciated, and it's the right thing to do. Thank you for your time, and please vote yes tonight.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on an agenda item?
Honorable Mayor Bob Odekirk and councilmen and women, I come to you and There is another epidemic in our city, and it is violent crime. And we've had a shortage of officers due to retirement. And in my community, I've seen a lot of violent crime, and the police officers tell me that they're short-staffed and it's hard to respond, and they try to respond as fast as they can. It's in the downtown city center in 311 North Ottawa and over on Bluff Street, where these violent crimes have been perpetrated and acted out. Certainly you, Mayor Odekirk, as a former police officer that served honorably and protected and served, can understand the need for armed, protected police officers in our city that protect and serve all our residents everywhere. I had a meeting with you yesterday, Mayor, and it was a good, positive meeting, and thank you for meeting with me and your education and positive thoughts and comments. But last night I had the opportunity, as I decided to take a walk instead of drive my vehicle, to the Jackson Street Center. And I came up with and engaged with a woman that was a violent criminal and committed some very serious crimes here in Joliet and Will County, named Tanisha Gomez, that was wanted in connection with 37 counts of debit credit card fraud and forgery. I asked politely if I could speak to her, not to alarm her. She became very scared as she did something wrong and was nervous and began to run the other way. My neighbor, Pam Frazier, was driving her SUV in the plaza and did so also, asked to speak with her politely and respectfully. She's a very gutsy, strong woman, 62, black African-American woman of strong morals and character and faith in God and religion. And she began to walk the other way and go this way down south, down the J&E CNN tracks, and began walking faster and ran. After I saw that, I called 911. And I ran as fast as I could, as this woman was running very fast, and it was hard. I felt like you, Mayor Odekirk, probably when you were a policeman, had to get out of your car and chase somebody or any other police officer on foot. And she was very wily and smart, and we went up over the EJ&E tracks and up onto the BNSF tracks of the High Viaduct and down a 70-degree embankment of big riprap and shot rock. And I was hoping not to fall or get injured, and I could only keep on talking to the 911 dispatcher and telling the directions she was turning and which way she was traveling and running until our Joliet police officers who protect and serve finally prevailed by across the street from the Joliet downtown post office at our former parking deck on Scott Street. I thank the police officers because she has terrorized housing authority buildings. She has come as a thief in the night. The times that I've been studying hard, as I explained to you in our meeting, for the plumber's entrance exam, Mayor Odekirk, it is a very tough exam. The trades only want the best, and the entrance exam must be studied for, has woken me up at 10, 11, 12.
You get the 4-minute mark, you wrap it up, please.
Okay, I was glad the police caught her, but she's terrorized it. We need more police officers to protect and serve just as much as our firefighters, EMTs. So please, as soon as possible with the city manager and the police and fire board, get those hired that are qualified to protect and serve our community.
All right, thank you.
Hello, I'm Abraham Garcia. I represent BF Tire on 1101 North Broadway. And I brought a little souvenir with me. Maybe I didn't explain myself well the first time coming. And Joe asked me to bring the gun that we use, or if you guys would grant us a variance, the gun we would be using at 1101, and all this concern of the noise. and I'll trigger it for you guys. And it's a bit louder when it has to torque the nuts off of the semi. That is a given, that's for sure. But this will be, this and air chalk to load up the air onto the tire would be the most noise that we're gonna cause. Because afterwards, when we have to install the tire, it has to be torqued to 475 pounds. It's TIA recommendation. And I actually had the luxury today to have Mr. Cesar Guerrero to come out to the site to actually see us in action. It was actually pretty cool. We had a service call to go do 4 tires for McMahon Transport located in Lockport on U Avenue. I mounted a tire, demonstrated to Cesar how easily it is to manually mount it and to manually dismount it. So all this concern of the noise, I can guarantee you will be to a minimum. And then the second concern that we have is the traffic. And granted, it can be a concern, sure, no problem. But as Mazzoni said, we have 21,000 vehicles going through there a day. And I don't want to point the fingers at other operations and saying, well, why are you picking on me? But this is my last hour and I have to voice it. How come these concerns weren't brought up to Amazon when they stopped their vehicles on 53 to deliver packages to all the residents don't have driveways on 53? They stop the traffic. They don't slow it down. My entrance will only slow a vehicle down so they can come in for service. Whether if it's a pickup truck, a dump truck, and I'm talking about the tractor, but there's also smaller dump trucks as F450s, F550s that we're currently servicing today. The Amazon vans that travel up and down, we service those vehicles today. We service all commercial vehicles, not just semi-tractor cabs. And maybe I didn't mention that in the very beginning. But yes, do I want to service tractor cabs? Yes, I do. And Larry, Mr. Larry Hugg, mentioned something that's very reasonable. It's a reasonable concern. Larry tells me, well, hey, you're going to bring semis from other counties over here when the traffic didn't exist in the first part. That's an opinion of his, and he's granted to it, and that's fair. But I stand here today, I have contracts with Joliet ran-operated trucks. I don't have a contract with an owner-operator company that's located in Melrose Park. Not to mention there's 1,000 shops that can go to from here to Melrose Park. I have contracts with such as Rush Transport. They're located on Route 6. We service GP Transco. They're located on Route 6. We're now going to be servicing PT Farrow. They're a construction company here in Joliet. They fix our roads. Will County Freight, they're right down the street from us, which we just leased more space. Georgine yesterday approached us and had a conversation after yesterday and mentioned a great concern. Well, hey, what about the vehicles that are parked there? If my customers park in their vehicles, if you have a problem with it, fine. I'll park them off-site. We also leased space from Will County Freight at 1530 North Broadway Street because there was a concern that Larry brought up to me. Well, what happens when there's a line of trucks waiting to come into your shop? Okay, I lease more space, so just in case, I do have my 2 tractors in that I'm going to service at one time. We can park them down at 1530 North Broadway. I just feel like at this time, the needle keeps getting moved. My family and I, we came in, we fixed this place. This place was probably the biggest eyesore on Broadway. We fixed it. We invested the time and we invested resources. And then the city comes and tells us, well, hey, if you do these 17 conditions, then we'll let you have it. Well, at least that's the way I took it. This is my first time doing this. I'm in my 30s. I've never done this before. It's my first time running a business too. So I'm taking that leap of faith. So I agreed to the 17 conditions, and on one of the last conditions, it says on black and white, if you fail to adhere to these restrictions or regulations or rules that we put forth, we will and we can take your variance. So I just feel at this point, I mean, I thought we're in U.S. You're innocent until proven guilty. I've yet to do nothing wrong. I came here, I got the place up to code. I don't even know how Martinson was operating to begin with. But he was. So if we have a code enforcement issue, that shouldn't be put on my feet. If we have a traffic issue, that shouldn't be put on my feet. And it's not just Amazon. It's FedEx and UPS drivers that put that truck in park to deliver a package. I'm not saying I'm going to stop the traffic. Not to mention when the bridge goes up, what do? Do we get rid of the bridge? Because when that bridge goes up, there's traffic backs all the way past Theodore. And what about the beer trucks that come into the neighborhood to refill the bars? Is that okay? Because they come in with a tractor cab and with a 53-foot trailer behind it loaded. I'm not asking of that for the city. I'm asking to allow me to use my own driveway to bring in the tractors that I'm gonna be servicing, to exit out of my own driveway, for me to use my own tools, my resources. All I'm asking for you to grant me a variance. If I'm telling you I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. So there won't be any parking on Hutchins. I don't need Hutchins. Joe Clement came out today to verify signatures. There was a question about my signatures, and that's fair, that's fine. He was out there and I showed him, hey, look at the space we have. I know someone made a complaint yesterday, oh, well, they're parking on the sidewalk. Not sure what sidewalk it is. We invited all councilman members to come out. A few of you came out. I know a lot of you are busy, but for those who did came out, they can clearly see our operation will not impede and it will not cause any issues with the community whatsoever. And let's just say it does. Let's say I got a good poker face. It says there on black and white, if I fail, you pull my variance. I'm supporting my family. I'm not doing this for, just a 21 roll or playing blackjack on the weekend. This is how I make a living. I don't know why I would want to destroy something I'm helping building. I'm begging you guys to give me a chance.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on an agenda item? Seeing none. Next on the agenda, under appointments, tonight the mayor is recommending Councilwoman Reardon be appointed to serve as the liaison to the Joliet Area Historical Museum. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Guerrero,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon,
Do I need to recuse myself or can I vote aye? I can't wait.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a motion to appoint Councilman Guerrero to serve as Mayor Pro Tem for the term July 1st through September 30th, 2021?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next are council committee reports. First is the Economic Development Committee report.
The Economic Development Committee met, the 8th of June at 5 p.m. here in the council chambers. We did a Zoom meeting. We had one item on the agenda, and that was the city's consideration of tax incentives for what most of you are already familiar with, is known as a Lion electric vehicle factory that will be coming here. But we will give you a little bit of background, although I think it's gotten well-deserved media play. Give me 1 second here. I do want to point out that Nate Baguio is here. He is the Vice President of Sales for Lion Electric. And I also want to point out that we have Doug Pryor from the Will County CED that's here, and he was integral in the entire process. I think Derek Connolly, our economic development guy, can attest to that, and thank you both for coming tonight. Lion Electric was founded in 2011, and it's headquartered in Saint Jerome, Quebec, in Canada. It currently has 465 worldwide employees, of which the vast majority do work in the headquarters in Saint Jerome. Their facility there can produce 2,500 electric vehicles. They focus on electric vehicles that are, and I'll use the official words and then I'll dumb them down for me, mid-range, all electric vehicles, essentially trucks buses, and garbage trucks and recycling trucks. Am I correct? Okay. And when I'm done with my presentation, if you would like, Nate, I'd like you to come up and say a few words yourself and introduce yourself to the rest of the council. You know Terry already, and you know Joe, but their proposal was to come here, and they're going to spend $120 million upgrading an existing warehouse building to convert it to manufacturing. They are going to employ little more than 300 workers in the factory on all levels of expertise in the first year. And over 4 years, it's going to be just over 1,400. Am I correct with the numbers there, Derek? And that's pretty exciting. These are factory jobs. These aren't just simply logistics. These are actual factory jobs. And they are going to have I think they're planning on about 10,000 trucks a year, electric vehicles a year, trucks and buses. But they have a build-out capacity to go as high as 22,000 a year, and that will be based on sales, which is Nate's job, right, Nate? So this is an exciting thing. Now, all the details of other incentives, so much larger incentives than what we have here, have already been approved by the state through the governor's office. And that was covered in the media. We discussed what is essentially a very basic incentive package that most everybody who comes and is going to bring revenue, no matter how small, gets it. And that's all Lion asked for. Our basic incentive package, which is 5 years, 50% on the property tax. Understand that the school districts, Troy and Manuka, are completely 100% on board too, because it's my understanding that Lion will be working closely with the school districts because they want to help form their workforce, the technical end. So we discussed it and we vetted it, and I famously called it a no-brainer. I think Bob Ocon reported that. It's a great project. Again, thank you to Doug. Thank you to Derek. Thank you, Nate. Of course, thank you to the governor's office. And the committee did unanimously vote to recommend to our colleagues on this council to approve this. And up on the screen right now is the rendition. I believe it's an artist rendition of what the factory will look like. Am I correct? Do you want to say a few words on it? Because I'm kind of seeing it. Like for instance, I'm seeing one with the pool table. Come on up, Nate, and tell us a little bit about your factory. Come on up to the podium, please. You help me out. I don't want to struggle here.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Nate Baggio. I'm with the Lion Electric Company. And I can tell you this is, working for Lion, a great North American company, has been an exciting journey. And we're building, delivering, deploying products that I'm personally very proud of. And as the lone American on our executive leadership team, I can tell you that this is just another point of pride that these great products, these important products, will be built right here in the United States, and more importantly, right here in the city of Joliet. So our factory will be able to produce 20,000 zero-emission electric vehicles of all types. I think one of the most important is the school buses. And as you saw Mayor Odekirk, the one that we had out of the factory site, these vehicles are taking kids to school every single day already. The electrification of transportation is underway, and it is inevitable. It is a better way of doing things, whether you look at it from the standpoint of the health of your community, all the way to the economic argument of doing it more cost effectively for taxpayers and businesses. Companies like Amazon, IKEA, Waste Connections, and school districts across the country, the largest provider of student transportation, First Student, just bought 260 school buses. So, I'm not saying my job is easy, Councilman Hugg, but I can tell you that 20,000, in my estimation, isn't going to be enough capacity for what I see coming in this industry. So Joliet is really on the forefront of changing the history of the way we move people and goods. And I can tell you that I've been having really encouraging conversations around the community with some of you, also with the Manuka School District that is looking for a real partnership was the word that the superintendent used, so that we could help with their STEM programs, job training, not only at the engineering level, but also at the trade level, to come in and help build these vehicles that are going to service your community and the United States. So thank you, and if you have any questions for me, I'm open.
I have a quick question, Nate.
Sure.
I understand that it's roughly 20,000 is capacity. Did I just hear a commitment to double capacity within 4 years?
I'll work on it, but yeah, let's start at 20,000.
Now, if anybody's got questions for Nate, that'd be great.
No questions, just a comment. I know we've talked before, but thank you for your investment in Joliet. It is a big step for our city and obviously for your company, so we're happy to have you here.
Thank you, Mr.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
I'd also like to thank the Lion Electric Company, because when they all heard about the Sox game for the fire department, they volunteered transportation for us. So that was very much thankful. We love that. Thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you.
The only other comment I would make is just to let people know that while I'm sure they've done their expansion since 2011 within their Canadian home base, this is their first and largest international expansion. And I believe is this going to be the largest electric vehicle factory currently, once it's up and running, in North America? Did I hear that?
Yeah, it's the largest medium and heavy-duty manufacturing plant
In the U.S.
in North America.
With a Nate guarantee of doubling that. So again, there was a lot of people that worked on this. Of course, the politicians get the photos, but there's Mayor, you can tell them, there's a lot of people that work behind the scenes on this. Again, Doug, thank you. You worked tirelessly on this too. And it's gonna be a bright future for the company, which means a bright future for all those employees in our community. So again, our recommendation was unanimous that we would hope you all would support this very basic incentive package as I outlined. And that's all we had on the agenda. So that's our meeting. Thank you, Derek.
Next is the Finance Committee report.
Finance Committee met today at 5:30 here. On the Finance Committee is Councilman Guerrero and Councilwoman Reardon. The first item on the agenda was the monthly financial report. Everyone that looks at that will see that we had $380,000 budgeted in the general fund, but we have $11.2 million with the American Rescue Plan money in there. In the personnel summary, the city still has 10 summer labor positions to be filled. So anyone who has a neighbor, friend, or acquaintance looking for work this summer, it's still available. You can apply online. And the invoices paid, we had 3 large items. There's an ambulance you'll see on there for, 1 ambulance on there. There's a Quint fire truck and 1 street sweeper. That are all part of it. The city has made our 4th payment to the county of $500,000, 4th of 20 that we need to make. In speaking of the American Rescue Plan, we got our money, we applied for our money about May 11th, came in a couple weeks later, and it has to be spent by December 31st, 2026. Mr. Gadati gave us a short presentation on what categories this money can be spent in, and I'd like to ask him to come up and give this whole report to the council as a whole.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you know, the American Rescue Plan was passed early this year. The city received $11.1 million in May, and we are going to receive another $11.1 million next May. So that's $22 million. The city has to commit this money by December 31st, 2024, and spend it by December 31st, 2026. The areas that we can spend it on fall into 4 basic categories. The first category would be for relief to businesses that were affected by the COVID-19. This would include restaurants, entertainment businesses, but it also could be used for rent relief, it could be used for utility relief. It basically can be used for any business or person that was affected by the COVID. The second category where we can spend the money is we can give premium pay to essential workers. That would basically be our fire department, our police department, and our public works department would be considered essential. The third category where we could spend the money would be for revenue that was lost due to the COVID-19. I gave a rather lengthy explanation of how I figured out what our loss of revenue was, because the feds changed the rules 8 times on me since May. But basically, it boils down to you take your 2019 revenue, you add an inflation factor, which for us would be 4.1, that's the municipal price index, and compare it to what we actually got in 2020. That calculation comes out to $14 million. So in other words, if COVID didn't hit, we would have got $14 million. So what we can use that money for is to replace municipal services that were not budgeted or funded because of COVID. A good example of that is, as you know, we put 26 positions in the 2021 budget, but we didn't fund them. That money could be used for that. And the fourth area that we could use it would be infrastructure. And the law specifically identifies infrastructure as water systems or broadband. The spirit of the law is, if you were to give it for broadband, to give internet access to those who are underserved and don't have. Everywhere we are cautioned that this money is one time only. So if I could equate it to money we received in the past, it'd be similar to the casino money. So they're cautioning us that if we decide to fund some operations after 2024, we would have to find a way to fund those positions, let's say, or lay those people off. So they keep cautioning every other paragraph, it seems, that this is a one-time only thing. How we spend the money is totally up to the city council. I would recommend that we have a special session. I would give you a more complete PowerPoint presentation of what we can spend it on and where we can spend it, and then we can deliberate as to how we want to spend it. Clearly, if we get to, let's say, October 2024 and haven't spent all the money for one reason or another, we could put it into infrastructure. We all know that our water system is coming, and it's a huge project, 600 to 800 million. So I know 20 million is a drop in the bucket, but it's totally up to council to set the policy of how we want to use these funds.
So the Finance Committee's recommendation is to move this to committee as a whole, and Councilman Guerrero had a recommendation on a timing. Caesar, would you like to?
Just given that in the following months, we'll have a combined session on July 6th, I believe, and then the only other pre-council meeting will be 2 weeks after that. I'd rather not delay this too long and would like to call a special meeting sometime before the end of this month.
I don't have a problem with that. Jim, is staff gonna be ready to make recommendations in the next week or two?
I wouldn't be able to commit to that right now. I'd have to ask and find out some dates when we'd be able to give you some real options, looking at various possibilities and recommendations. As you well know, we have several contracts, union contracts, that would require also some funding here. So we'd like to look at that and give you some recommendations, just not to just, if we can.
We have 2 years to commit to how we're gonna spend it.
That's correct.
All right. Okay.
Question, Mayor. We're gonna drill deeper when we do the council as a whole, but two things that jump out to me, the two categories, infrastructure. So they don't consider under this omnibus bill, they don't consider roads infrastructure for a community, just water?
Not in that category, however, in category 2, with
We
the
can- okay.
revenue loss, we could do, infrastructure other than the, water and.
You're stealing my thunder, Jim. I was gonna ask you that. Can we use that, and you answered my question, category 2, because we do need to increase the amount of road resurfacing and repairs that we need to do citywide. So that's something else that we need to consider as well, in addition to what you've mentioned, Jim.
Correct.
Well, I guess to meet everyone halfway, I don't mind meeting, but I certainly don't want to rush into a decision on this. It has to be vetted. But we can have a public discussion and people,
We could do that as well, Mayor. I mean, sooner rather than later. I mean, but again, I would ask that that we don't really come out with a definite answer at that point, but we have a discussion, and the staff will take your lead based on some of the recommendations that come out of there, and then we can loop back again and finish this up.
all right, we'll set it between tonight and 4th of July, sometime between the two.
Fair enough.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometime next 2 weeks,
Yeah.
you're thinking?
And if I understand correctly, Mayor, if I understand correctly, of the 22.2 million, 14 million would be spent by the city for city needs, as is defined in the 4 categories. That would leave the remainder to be doing other programs beyond infrastructure, beyond personnel, correct?
That was the council's choice, yes. The 26 positions is roughly $4 million a year. So let's say we funded it for 3, that would be $12 million. And of course, we're not gonna fund it for the whole year because it take time to hire these people.
Well, does the 14 million include the 5.5 million that we took out of reserve?
No,
So we have 14 million in lost revenue plus the 5.5 million that we have to replace in reserve.
the reserves have already been replaced by the 7 million received this year.
Okay.
So I fully expect that if we don't have a balanced budget in 2020, I think we're gonna add a little bit back to fund balance because of that 7 million.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I heard this earlier today, so it seems to be an issue. Every time I give the State of the City speech, the numbers change. I reported that we lost about 10 million and 5.5 came in COVID money. You're saying now that's not accurate, that we did not lose money last year?
Correct.
Okay, well, that's good news. Jim, if you could get that out to the council, I think we need to clarify that.
I will be able to verify that. The audit is due any day now. So once the audit is, I will verify it because I have not posted the entries. But we had some rather beneficial revenue items that came in 2020, which were not predicted when you made your state of the speech, especially building permits and ambulance fees.
That's good news. Okay, yeah, we have to get that out. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all the report we have for the Finance Committee.
Thank you.
Prison Committee report?
You know, and I'll take it because Betty's not here. But it was Councilwoman Gavin and Councilman Guerrero and myself. We met on May 25th originally. Greg Peerbold came in and gave us kind of a synopsis of what's been going on with the prison. He gave quite a presentation from the 2017 to 2021, what's been going on. We had quite a report several years ago as to what stages we could work on to bring the prison. We don't want to bring it back to what it used to be. We want to bring it to an entity that can draw tourism to Joliet and, of course, make money for the city. It's a fine line. If we don't take over this building in some way, the city or the state, we don't want them to just leave it there to get worse and worse and worse. So they have a lot of plans to meet with and have met with different state senators, state reps to try to get funding available to us to bring it to a point where we can it can be useful to us for different events and different tourist type of revenues. So that is in the works right now. He discussed, what the maintenance would be to get it there, where we're at with the visitor center, which we've really come along with that. So it is moving forward. We, because of last year and the excessive snow we had, it caused more damage. But because we weren't able to continue on our repair work because of the lack of funding and all of that, there's more to do. But again, we need to do something with it. We don't want it to just sit there and, rot, for lack of better, words. The other thing, that was brought before council, as you all know, the work that was being done at the women's prison for the disc golf. There was some controversy with the people that were out there and what the rules and regulations should be for those folks. So Chris Regis came up with a document for us to review. Unfortunately, on that day, we kind of got it last minute and we wanted to have a little more time to review it. So we rescheduled a special meeting for June 2nd to just discuss that contract. And we did do a couple more tweaks that day, and everyone on the committee felt like we were satisfied that the Penn East LLC, which is doing the work, it has signed a contract that we are giving them rules and regulations of what they can and can't do, time restrictions and other types of restrictions. So we feel like we've kind of buttoned that down, and we feel that we can present that to the council for approval. And I think, is there anything else that you can think of?
That should be it.
Okay, and that's it.
Thank you.
Public Service Committee report.
Public service, I'm sorry, that's me. I'm back on. It was a busy night for me tonight, Krista. Public service met yesterday, June 14th, here at 4:30 at City Hall in the executive conference room. In attendance on the committee was Councilman Morris was there, Councilwoman Gavin was there, and myself, as well as Greg Ruddy, Director of Public Works, Allison Swisher, Director of Public Utilities, Sewer and Water. It was a routine agenda. We had 3 items in the contracts. All 3 items were wastewater related. I won't get into the nitty-gritty, dirty details of it since it's wastewater, but I will tell you we vetted all 3 contracts. One contract is an ongoing outgrowth of what we've been doing the last 5 or 6 years to upgrade, even before we made a decision on the alternative water supply, to upgrade the system that had been neglected for so long. We will be addressing all of our sewer lift stations. Why is that important? Because if a sewer lift station in your area goes down, we want to be ahead of the curve, proactive. It's going to back up in your house. That's the problem. So I'm excited about that. Yeah, I know that it says I don't have much of a life if I'm excited about water, sewer, but we are getting ahead of the curve on our sewer lift, all of our sewer lift stations. Then under the change orders pay estimates, we had 3 items and final payments. We're paying our membership dues to the Southwest Water Planning Group in the amount of $45,239. This is the last year that we are committed to be part of that group. Moving forward, the council will decide whether or not we will continue. That group was formed and hired the Illinois Water Survey to do groundwater research and collect groundwater data. Let's see, we have an ordinance on the agenda that was in our committee last night about the Route 53 and Emerald Drive project. Finally, we're signing the IGA so we can move forward on finishing that intersection in conjunction with the state, with IDOT. Nothing exciting. We looked through the few items that were on there. We vetted all of them, and every item was unanimously approved. And I guess locally, all politics are local. Some people might be excited to know that the motion, or the committee did direct staff to go ahead with a recommendation to put a four-way stop sign, or multi-way stop sign at the intersections of Clara Avenue and Oregon Avenue and Clara Avenue in Midland, as well as a multi-way stop sign at the intersection of New Fairfield Drive and Saddle Ridge Drive. Now, that's only going to be important to a few people, but I figure I'd mention it. And again, all items on our agenda were unanimously approved for recommendation to this full council for a recommendation here tonight. Terry, did I miss anything?
No, sir.
Okay. Mayor, that's my report.
Thank you.
I show no other reports. Under consent agenda, approval of the minutes. It's recommended the minutes of the combined council meeting held on June 1st, 2021 stand approved as recorded. Invoices paid report. It's recommended this report be received and placed on file. Council Memo 294-21, the 2020 Annual Treasurers Report. It's recommended this report be received and placed on file. Council Memo 295-21, position vacancies. It's recommended the city manager be authorized to fill one firefighter paramedic position and any subsequent vacancies which may occur. Council Memo 296-21, award of contract for the Aux Sable Creek wastewater treatment plant screening upgrades to Williams Brothers Construction in the amount of $734,000. Council Memo 297-21, award of contract for the West Side wastewater treatment plant chemical tank addition upgrades to Williams Brothers Construction in the amount of $97,000. Council Memo 298-21, professional services agreement for the Phase 1 lift station assessment and design engineering program to Trotter and Associates in the amount of $161,500. Council Memo 299-21, change order number 1 in the amount of negative $8,368.83, and payment estimate number 3 and final in the amount of $243,696.57 for the lead service line replacement Phase 2 to Brandt Excavating. Council Memo 300-21, payment of Water Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act loan application fee. Council Memo 301-21, payment of the 2021 membership dues for the Southwest Water Planning Group in the amount of $45,239. It's recommended Council Memos 296-21 through Council Memo 301-21 be approved. Is there a motion to approve all said consent agenda items?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon,
Aye.
Councilman Clement,
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero,
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Motion carried. Moving on under public hearings, Council Memo 303-21, an annexation of a 21,000 square foot lot located at 3502 Green Meadow Lane. This includes a resolution approving an annexation agreement for 3502 Green Meadow Lane and ordinance approving the annexation of a 21,000 square foot lot located at 3502 Green Meadow Lane, and an ordinance approving the classification of 3502 Green Meadow Lane to R1 Single Family Residential Zoning. This is a public hearing, so comments would be in order at this time.
Is there anyone who'd like to speak on this item?
Seeing none, let the record show the hearing is now closed. Is there a motion to approve Council Memo 303-21, annexation of a 21,000 square foot lot located at 3502 Green Meadow Lane?
Move to approve.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon,
Aye.
Councilman Clement,
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Motion carried. The next public hearing is Council Memo 304-21, annexation of 2 parcels located at the northeast corner of Chippewa Street and Iroquois Street. This includes a resolution approving an annexation agreement for 2 parcels located at the northeast corner of Chippewa Street and Iroquois Street, an ordinance approving the annexation of the 2 parcels, and an ordinance approving the classification of the 2 parcels to R2 Single Family Residential Zoning. This is a public hearing, so comments would be in order at this time.
Is there anyone who'd like to speak on this item?
Seeing none, let the record show the hearing is now closed. Is there a motion to approve Council Memo 304-21, annexation of 2 parcels located at the northeast corner of Chippewa Street and Iroquois Street?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Quillman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon,
Aye.
Councilman Clement,
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next public hearing is Council Memo 305-21, an annexation of 0.23 acres located at 800 Magnolia Drive. This includes a resolution approving an annexation agreement for 800 Magnolia Drive, an ordinance approving the annexation of 0.23 acres located at 800 Magnolia Drive, and an ordinance approving the classification of 800 Magnolia Drive to R2 Single Family Residential Zoning. This is a public hearing, so comments would be in order at this time.
Would anyone like to speak on this item?
Seeing none, let the record show the hearing is now closed. Is there a motion to approve Council Memo 305-21, an annexation of 0.23 acres located at 800 Magnolia Drive?
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Motion carried. Moving on, under ordinances, Council Memo 307-21, ordinances associated with 1101 North Broadway Street. This includes an ordinance approving an amendment to a variation of use, ordinance number 7912, to expand the previously permitted use automobile service garage to include light truck, tractor cab tire repair, a B3 general business use in an R2 single-family residential zoning district, and an ordinance approving a special use permit for a light truck, tractor cab tire repair and maintenance. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
Krista, before we vote, there was talk earlier about some type of compromise. Is anyone familiar with that? Joe Mazzoni, nobody? Okay,
Mayor, if I might, because of that, I heard that, I was told the same thing you were.
yes.
And the compromise was essentially said that possibly not doing semis, but doing other trucks. What we need to clarify here is, the impassioned plea that Mr. Garcia, presented notwithstanding and respected, is even if this does not pass, he'll be able to continue to do the same business that he knew he was gonna do when he bought it. We're not taking anything away from him, okay, number one. Number two, I called legal and talked to Sabrina today, and if he would, in fact, what I had heard the same thing you did, Mayor, that he wasn't gonna do semis, there's no need. Anything but semis can already be done there. The only thing we're considering is semis. Sabrina, can you expound on that? And I know that Jim Torrey's got the history on that.
Yes, that's correct. His current variation of use does allow him to already repair trucks, box trucks, anything but a semi-truck trailer, cab trailer. So I know, Jim Torrey, you have some of the history on that.
Yes, he could operate, like you said, as Martinson did in the past. He was aware of this, when he bought the property back a year ago. Over a year ago, we tried to counsel him on that, knowing that we had concerns with larger trucks there, the semi-trucks, but he could do the box trucks, he could do flatbed trucks, automobiles. Those things are fine for him to continue to operate that way. It's just adding the semi-trucks that's an issue at hand here and what he needs the amendments for.
So to be clear, Jim, if it were to not pass tonight, the only thing he couldn't change tires on would be semis.
That's
All other
correct.
trucks he could.
Yes.
Okay. So we're not taking anything away from him or his family as we consider this. That's not under consideration, and that's a good thing, because he needs to support his family. Trucks at large aren't gonna be prohibited. It's only about the semis. That's all it's about. So I wanted that clarification, because again, you like to go to the horse's mouth and get the clarification, and I did that. Thank you, Sabrina. Thank you, Jim.
Mayor?
Yes.
Like I said last night, I'd like to give this applicant, a chance. I went out there today. I don't want to get into the survey and if it's legit or not. I went to 1105. That was directly to the north. I went behind the business, 205 Hutchins. They had no problem with it. I did not reach anybody at 1025. That was to the south, but the applicant did show me some documentation that they were okay with it. Those are the immediate people there that, could potentially have an issue. They do not have an issue. I went there today with my 8-year-old. I saw the operation, how he's doing it. I just think we should give him a chance, like I brought up yesterday. Number 16, number 17. If he does not abide by what these 15 things, we could, bring him back for a rehearing and go along that route. I know we're short staff, but that is not our problem, or that is our problem. That's not his problem. When people don't abide by these conditions, that's really on us to follow up on that. And I think we could do a better job, moving forward. But I'm asking, this council to approve this and give this gentleman a chance.
Yes.
If I may add. So I visited the site shortly after, actually, Joe had just left. Just got to see, some of the tools in operation, and the equipment that is on this, business location is made specifically for these types of vehicles. So while we may not be, in the strictest sense, taking anything away from him but as an owner and operator of this business, he's found a specialty, right? He's found a place in the market that hasn't been tapped into yet. There are plenty of tire shops already in existence in Joliet, but there's, to my knowledge, none that are doing specifically what this business is setting out to do. And, I think there have been a number of questions raised, and I think he's given us good responses to each of those concerns. The idea of additional traffic, well, the traffic is already here. I don't think that this is going to, by servicing 3 or 4 vehicles a day, I don't think it's going to have such a large impact as to increase that. We saw the demonstration of the equipment in use. I don't think that noise is really going to be an issue. And so I'm in agreement with Joe that I think we should to approve this.
Is there a motion to approve Council Memo 307-21 ordinances associated with 1101 North Broadway Street?
So moved.
Second.
Krista, what does the zoning board said no?
Right, so we would need a supermajority, so 6 votes in order for it to be approved this evening. Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
No.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Zoning board said no, and so did staff. They're concerned about it, so I'll have to go along with staff and vote no.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Mayor Odekirk?
Yeah, I was gonna back up the zoning board also, but I think it's pretty clear Councilwoman Gavin was in support of this. So instead of wasting everyone's time and making you bring it back again, I will vote aye also.
Motion carried 6-2.
Thank you.
Council Memo 308-21, an ordinance approving a special use permit for a year-round indoor and outdoor entertainment venue, including a haunted house located at 401 Woodruff Road. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Guerrero?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 309-21, an ordinance approving a special use permit for a tire repair and sales center located at 3100 Shanahan Road. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 310-21, an ordinance approving a special use permit for a truck terminal including truck service and repair, truck wash facility, commercial truck sales, rental and leasing, truck and trailer parking, and office space located at 175 McDonald Avenue. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 311-21, an ordinance approving a preliminary plat of Mound Road Logistics Center subdivision. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Motion carried. Under Resolutions, Council Memo 313-21, a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement for the Illinois Route 53 and Emerald Drive project between the Illinois Department of Transportation and the City of Joliet, 2021. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 314-21 is a resolution authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental cooperation agreement with Shanahan Township and a jurisdictional transfer of a portion of Better Road. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 315-21, a resolution authorizing the execution of a site agreement with Penn East LLC. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 316-21 is a resolution authorizing the execution of a home investment partnership program consortium agreement. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 317-21, a resolution accepting a grant from the Illinois Housing Development Authority's Abandoned Residential Property Municipal Relief Program. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 318-21, a resolution accepting a public utility easement from Whitendorf Enterprises for the Essington and Jefferson Interceptor Sewer Project. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 319-21, a resolution accepting a public utility easement from Timber Hollow Series LLC for the Essington and Jefferson Interceptor Sewer Project. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 320-21, resolution authorizing the execution of a dedication of right-of-way from Center Point Joliet Terminal Railroad LLC regarding Better Road. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 321-21, a resolution approving a property tax abatement at 3835 Youngs Road, Joliet, Illinois 60434 with the Lion Electric Company USA Incorporated. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to be approved. Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 322-21, a resolution approving an amended agreement for the purchase and sale of real property with Natural Gas Pipeline Company of America LLC. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Clement,
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Next is the city manager's report.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to talk about a couple of things here tonight. First off, I'd like to remind people that while the city of Joliet got $11 million this year, the county got $70 million. So that's almost 7 times the amount that the city of Joliet got. We will continue to fight for that funding here. We hope that the county realizes what a great asset that the city of Joliet is and how we continue to move things forward here, and that they're willing to invest in our infrastructure as much as we are, and to make sure that we get some of that funding that they received and that we get a portion of that. The second thing is I want to talk about is we have fallen behind, so I just want to give you a heads up on some of the permitting and that we do in some of the inspections. It is summertime. There was a lot of pent-up demand while we were under the COVID restrictions for building permits and inspections. Consequently, I'm going to authorize the Greg Reddy and Jim Torrey and Eve Marie to have some people work some overtime while we got some daylight out here so we can do some of these inspections and try to get rid of that backlog because we really need to keep the ball rolling here. One of the great things about Joliet is that we get things done. Right now, we want to continue to have that reputation of being able to get things done. So I'm going to go ahead and move forward on that. So and the last thing I'd like to talk about is I believe that Greg Ruddy would like to talk about an employee that is retiring in with over 30 plus years today. So if you don't mind, I'd like to allow Mr. Ruddy to say some words about this employee, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, so as many you have dealt with him over the years, Scott Gaffovich, as the city manager stated, he's got over 30 years of service with the city. He's going to be retiring next week. Just wanted to give him a public thank you and acknowledgement of his years of service. Scott has been our main reviewer of new development over the years, going back to the residential housing boom in the late 90s and early 2000s, as well as the more recent logistics development and the Center Point developments and all the warehousing we've had. And Scott's going to be sorely missed. He's been a real asset to the city, and we wish him well in his future plans and retirement.
That concludes my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mayor, I got a question for city manager. Jim?
Yes, sir.
While the county got 70 million, we got 11 million or over 70 million.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, the county budget and the city Joliet budget are comparable.
That's correct.
Okay. One of the largest umbrellas, if you will, of the 4 categories was for sewer and water.
Correct.
County doesn't have sewer and water.
I can't speak
They
to
don't,
that.
they don't,
Not some of them
unincorporated as
incorporated.
septic, right?
Right.
You know, private residential septic.
Right.
So we have a lot, you know, we have, what, 27 or 28% of the county's population? We have
27%.
sewer and water in the ground that we have to maintain, some of it aging. And we have a fire department, which the county doesn't have to have.
That's correct.
So, yeah, please do pursue, because 70 million to the county versus Joliet and other municipalities seems a little bit lopsided.
Again, Councilman, I think that's a great point. I think that, you know, the city of Joliet has members that are elected here that are supposed to represent the city of Joliet. So we'll be relying on them to go forward to the county to, with vim and vigor, to express our interests here and to help their constituents, which are our constituents here in the city of Joliet. So.
Thank you.
Next is new business, not for final action or recommendation.
Joe, Caesar?
No.
Yeah, real quickly, maybe somebody can prepare this for the next meeting. It's come to my attention, and I think all of your attention, that a staff or a staff member is negotiating for the permanent ownership of the prison. We've not reviewed this as a council. How can somebody negotiate to own something that we haven't approved to even consider owning yet, that we're still under lease only? So if we can get some in-depth and some legal analysis of why that's going on.
I think we were in the process of seeing if that's going to be something viable, if we can even do that before we even bring it to the council. If you'd rather you approve us, if you want to authorize us to do that, but we went ahead and wanted to be able to present something to you if it was even possible, as opposed to taking up your time with something, if the state's not willing to do that at that point.
Well, Jim, I think the understanding when we did the 5-year lease was it was more than possible. The state does want to get rid of it under the right circumstances. You weren't here at the time.
Right.
There's no doubt that the state wants to get rid of it. It's whether or not what we committed to, even though I voted against it, the rest of this council committed to a thorough review in the final year to see whether or not it's showing any possibility of, doing anything other than continuing to drain money from the taxpayer. And we've not done that yet, and we shouldn't be actually negotiating to own it. That's all I have, Mayor.
Terry?
Nothing.
Pat? Jan?
No.
Sherry?
Next is public comments. Is there anyone that would like to speak under public comments this evening?
Good evening. My name is Gwen Ulmer, and I am the president of the Southside Neighborhood Association. I'm here to talk to you about a couple of eyesores. They're on the south side. As the council president, and I am a voter, and I am also a property owner. I pay property taxes. And when from Interstate 80 to the viaduct on South Chicago Street, consistently, and I've been there for 15 years, the mulch doesn't even get refreshed. I'm a Facebook junkie. I look on Facebook and there is volunteers and people planting flowers on North Chicago Street. Nothing has happened to that south end. That is just unacceptable. I'm appalled that year after year, and Terry and Caesar both know, that's my absolute passion, is that nothing gets done. Flowers are dead. It looks terrible. And I think we should be valued as citizens of this city, that we should have the same care given to South Chicago Street. That is our front door when you get off of 80. I go up and down that all day. I was very excited that Chicago Street opened both ways. I'm driving up and down, but I see the difference. It shouldn't happen. I'm ashamed of what is happening in this city. And then my second one is the old Eliza Kelly School. That was Harvey Brooks Foundation. That is a historical landmark, a beautiful limestone. The fence is falling down. There are weeds there. I sent Terry and Caesar pictures because I get a call from a friend that said, look at this. The weeds are higher than I am. I did call, grass got cut, but the fencing is falling down. Our babies are now going to be out of school. The gate is open. What if a child gets hurt in there because weeds are growing up out of the asphalt? I don't know who owns it, but it needs to be taken care of. That fence needs to come down. That ground needs to be taken care of. I shouldn't have to see that. And the amount of traffic that's coming up and down McDonough Street, none of us deserve to look at that on a daily basis. If I go west, I don't see that. I go north on Chicago Street, I don't see that. But I'm looking at this kind of uncare on my end of the town. I deliberately said we are not the South End. We are not the last. We are the south side of Joliet. And I think it deserves to look as good as any other part of the city. So for that reason, I asked you for mulch. I asked you for flowers. I'll plant them myself. But I want Chicago Street to look welcoming to people who get off of 80 moving north. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Charlene Boyd Payton. I am an event planner. I've been an event planner for about 17 years. I want to make you aware of an event that's coming to the Joliet community. It's going to take place at the Joliet Slammer Stadium on August 7th and August 8th from noon to 5. So what is it? It's a vendor event. So we're trying to get vendors there. They could be food trucks. It could be anyone that has a business, anyone that wants to sell or make their services known to the community. So it's a big community event. We're inviting families, kids. We have face painting for the children. We're going to run the bases. So it's different things that are going to take place between noon and 5 at the Joliet Slammer Stadium. And I want to make sure everyone's aware. I have flyers today in English and in Spanish. So if you could definitely spread the word. And if the ways that you can help is to sponsor. That is the big thing. In order for me to pull off this event, guys, I really, really, really need your help. I have a sponsorship packet if you're interested. There's various levels. We would definitely need your help in order to make this event a success. Obviously, the world is opening back up, and I believe that Joliet is ready to host an event such as this. So I know that Councilwoman Quillman, you had mentioned a comment about when people come together, great things can happen. I really believe that. That's why I put this event on for the community. So like I said, it's August 7th, August 8th. Bring your families, bring your friends. If you could post it on social media, that would help greatly. But I would love to see you all there.
Thank you. If you could drop this documents off with the clerk.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak under public comments?
I just wanted to comment to Councilwoman Reardon. You were talking about our Joliet prison, and that you have to know that's a historic landmark. That was a federal penitentiary built in 1860 and completed then. So maybe there's some severe federal and state funding you can get for that, for the city of Joliet to help make that work. It was built by the immigrant stone cutters right here on the bluff where all the stone was cut on Bluff Street. Right here with wedge bars and saws to form those blocks, and they were stone, right here. So, and knowing that history from my grandparents that are German immigrants to this country just after World War I in 1920, and what they studied about it, that you may have a lot of federal and state funding resources to help make the Joliet Prison Correctional Center that was then turned over to the state right after World War I in 1920.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First, I'd like to thank the council for giving Mr. Abraham Garcia an opportunity to operate that gas station on the corner there. Appreciate it. Don't want to waste an opportunity here while I'm down here. I want to talk about that policy on review of the request to modify access restrictions on the public alley in the city of Joliet that was brought before the council on October 20th, 2020, city council meeting. During that meeting, it was referred back to the Land Use Committee for review. Land Use Committee met on February 3rd, 2021 to discuss the policy. If the city manager has concerns, why didn't he attend the meeting or have Councilman Morris schedule the meeting for another date and time so he could be there? Ms. Sabrina Spano, Corporate Counsel, said the committee could decide changes they would like to make to the policy and vote to move it to the full council for revisions. After nearly 1 hour discussion, the committee voted 3-0 to approve the policy with some adjustments and send it to the full council for a vote. That discussion was very extensive, but some committee members were questioning why it was even before them. One request in 20 years hardly seems to be a burning issue, especially after it was in place for 8 years. The chairman, Councilman Terry Morris, gave the Land Use Legislative Committee report on February 16th, 2021 at the city council meeting, but the procedure was not on the agenda for a full council vote. In my humble opinion, it was improperly removed by the city manager. At that point, it was up to the city council to vote to send it back to committee for review if the city manager's concerns weren't addressed by the council at that time. When the city manager was asked why it wasn't on the agenda, he stated he has some concerns about the policy. Since that meeting, the city manager has failed to articulate his concerns on the policy. City manager told my councilwoman Betty Gavin, who's not here tonight, that he would get back send it back to the land use committee for further discussion. Well, that never happened. And it should actually be put on the agenda of the council meeting because that's where the committee sent it on February 3rd. When she questioned him a second time, he apologized again for not getting it done. Since the second apology, there's been a land use committee held on May 27th, and you guessed it right. Again, it wasn't on the agenda. Matter of fact, there was 2 other meetings of the land use committee on March 10th and April 4th, and it wasn't on the agenda either. A quick review of city government. The city council approves policies, ordinances, etc., while the city manager is supposed to take care of the daily operations of the city. I believe that the city manager should be held accountable for not doing what he said he was going to do on 2 separate occasions. Either it was a direct misguidance or he has a short memory on what he's supposed to be doing. Either way, I'm requesting the city council direct the city manager to get it back on the agenda for next council meeting and vote the policy up or down, as my councilwoman had repeatedly asked him to do. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak under public comments? Next is mayor and council comments.
Joe, Caesar?
Just a few quick things. We'll also be having a community event this weekend, Saturday and following Sunday at the Rialto Square Plaza. It's a little shameless self-promotion there. My friends and I brought that organization together and happy to see, downtown become a little bit more vibrant. Generally, just as we are opening back up again as the state as a whole and the country as a whole, just like to remind everybody, tip your waitstaff pretty well. We've been waiting for over a year to get back to dine-in restaurants and get back to normal. And definitely, if you can afford it, help these people out who have been, affected. I'd say the worst by the last year or so. And then one last thing, we are coming up on the day, or rather, are currently in it, because it is roughly a week-long celebration of Juneteenth, which if you have seen the news, I believe the Senate is making a motion to make that actually a public holiday. But that's definitely an important piece of American history, and it's something that we are currently in the midst of now. And I know that there's a few events happening this Saturday to kind of honor that and just in remembrance of what this holiday means to a lot of people. So,
Larry?
Happy Father's Day to all the dads.
That's it.
That way when you remember.
Oh, there you go. I was gonna wait till next meeting.
Yeah, on the tail of Gwen, comments about Chicago Street, we've had this conversation before with city staff. I believe it was with Kendall, Jim Trisner. Chicago Street, if we're talking about the medium, it's a state highway, so they're responsible for that. But we can, and we have in the past, spoke with the state about keeping that medium along Chicago Street. I believe the city has a, what do you call it, the entryway, right there, 80, when you come off 80, the big marquee.
Yes.
And I believe, my personal opinion, that the city do a pretty good job keeping the grass cut there. There's some people that live east of Chicago Street. I think we was out there for a street.
Yes.
Its name, I can't, y'all gonna get me for not knowing the name of the street. But anyway, and they constantly cause when the grass gets a little tall and city crews come out and cut it. But I'm asking, I guess I'm going a long way around to ask, that the city staff again reach out to our state legislators or IDOT to come down and do their part with the state highway. Because I don't believe that Gwen can go out there and plant flowers. She might get in trouble for that, without approval from the state. And it would be a safety hazard as well. So again, Greg or, Jim, and give me.
Care about this old lady, please.
Right, we don't want her to get hurt planting flowers. So we could do that. And as far as Eliza Kelly's school, I spoke with Jim today, the city manager, Jim, about finding out who actually owned it. I believe it went back to the bank. the ownership.
I will find out.
Right, we spoke this evening after I
We've
spoke
had
with
some
Wayne.
interest in that building, but oftentimes it has fallen through, so, we will continue to market that in a present manner. I know Derek does a tremendous job, so.
I just wanted to clear
Right.
that, somewhat make sure we was
sir.
clear on Chicago Street and the school.
Thank you.
And thanks, Glenn.
Can I make a quick comment on that? Because
Yeah.
ma'am, I feel your pain. Along 55 on the west side, we run into the same problem, and it becomes a piecemeal of what the city does, what the township does, what the state does. Thank you, Councilman Morris. You clarified that a portion of that, a noticeable portion is state, and we can't send our people on state property for liability issues. So we're gonna help you, staff's gonna help you. But don't be afraid to call Larry Walsh Jr. and John Connors, because like we serve on the council here, they're supposed to serve you for the state and take care of these problems. And we'll reach out to them, but believe it or not, sometimes a citizen calling the state people gets a better reaction than another politician. Okay.
Ma'am, you can't be heard at home, you have to step to the microphone. Thank you.
I've done that. And Larry Walsh owes me a return phone call.
Okay.
And it's been an ongoing problem because I live it and I see it. And I understand the procedure in getting it done. But it's about, I need somebody else with me to get it done because you hope, like Terry knows, answer me because I'll hunt you down. And so.
Absolutely.
But I do need a little bit more, so that's why I'm here. Terry and I have talked about this, I've talked to Caesar about this. It's a passion. But I am not too proud to go out there and plant a flower if it will get me the attention that I need to get it done.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. That's all.
Pat?
Greg, thanks for bringing it to our attention that Scott's retiring after 30-plus years. And Scott, thank you very much for everything you've done for the city, and enjoy your retirement.
Jan?
Along Terry's concerns, I did a couple of weeks ago, I had a council meeting, I brought up the fact that maybe, with kids being in school, they need their community service hours, maybe we could hire some, or not hire them, but, organize something where they could do volunteer work such as picking up the garbage along the roadways and things like that. But nothing ever happened with that, I guess. Moving on. Senor Tequila, we finally got it torn down, but it's just nicer now. Now what's the plan? Have we talked to the owners? It's terrible. It looks terrible. I'm getting complaints.
I believe that there are some, there's some interest there as to what's gonna happen there, but I will find out directly what exactly that is. I know that there was some ongoing discussion. Again,
It just needs to be cleaned up. I mean, there's a wire fence around it with all this debris. It looks horrible.
yes, Councilman, I agree.
So what are we gonna do about it?
Well, I'll have to contact the owners and we'll get on them to spruce it up, to
Okay.
clean it up.
Can we fine them so much a day or?
That requires a court proceeding
Gotcha,
before we
okay.
can just start unilaterally fining.
All right. Happy Father's Day. That's all I have.
Sorry, y'all.
I'll say Happy Father's Day so I don't forget, but I also wanted, do we have is our chief here, or our police chief, or a deputy chief, or? I just had a question for them. I've been hearing, I heard from at least two people, and it's more of a warning for people. I also heard that it was being discussed on the radio today that there are, people going around looking official with hard hats and yellow vests and clipboards going to doors, usually preying on the elderly. So I'd just like to put the warning out there. Please don't open your doors for these people. Nobody's coming to your doors and telling you that you have water problems, or that was one of the stories. I'm not sure what the other story was, but please be careful. Don't open your door, especially elderly. Once you open your door, there's no guarantee that you'll get your door closed again. So I don't know if we've had any reports. That's why I was just gonna ask, but I have heard several myself.
All right, a couple things. June 3rd, I was emceeing the concert on the hill at Bicentennial Park. It's great to see the park up and running again in the season, back in play. I think Councilwoman Quillman, you also posted one of those?
Last week.
Last week. So congratulations, Bicentennial Park. City Manager, thank you for getting them up and running, and getting them back to where they should be. We had another I-80 coalition meeting on June 9th. There had been kind of a bump in the road, like a lot of things with COVID, it kind of disturbed the process, but their committee is still meeting and trying to move forward. I do want to announce that we are going to have fireworks on the 4th of July. It's going to be at Joliet Junior College this year, as opposed to the stadium, because of the new turf that the Park District put down. The stadium cannot support the fireworks. So there'll be more details to come, but I do want to formally say July 4th fireworks are going to take place at Joliet Junior College. I know we're not doing July 3rd this year. Again, that was a COVID-related decision that was made back in February, I believe.
That's correct, Mayor. And it was only because we had to order the fireworks. We didn't know what the COVID restrictions would look like, and it's a substantial amount of money. So we invested that money into the JJC fireworks show. Next year, we want to have them again at Bicentennial Park as well.
So the plan next year is to have both the 3rd and 4th.
Yes, sir.
That's good news. And then finally, I don't know how many of our area teams or athletes are going downstate. I do know the Joliet Catholic girls softball team is going down tomorrow, I believe. So I want to wish them the best of luck. And of course, any other of our students or schools that are going, any programs, also wish them good luck. Happy Father's Day to my peers and the fathers of Joliet, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.